G'day everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the DailyPuzzles and Cubicle Labs crossover. So DailyPuzzles is an Australian cube retailer that sells all types of cubes, lubes, accessories, you name it. And the Cubicle is an American one who does basically the same thing. However, the Cubicle have their own branch called Cubicle Labs, which is where they make their lubes, and they also have custom cubes. They use these lubes. Some of their most common lubes are these three: D&M 37, Silk, and Mystic. And I'm going to go over what these lubes mean. But before I go over the lubes, I'm just going to explain why these are DailyPuzzles edition. So essentially, DailyPuzzles wanted to bring these lubes to Australia, and they made a deal with the Cubicle where DailyPuzzles are the official authorized retailer of this product in Australia, meaning that they're the only ones that are allowed to sell this, and it means that they can brand it themselves, and it's a whole retail deal that essentially made it so they could sell the official Cubicle Labs with their own name on it as well, which is a really cool crossover because it means that people in Australia, like me and a lot of my friends, can get these lubes for a lot cheaper without having to get them through the Cubicle. You can just get them from DailyPuzzles. So with that explained, I'm going to go over the difference between these lubes and what they can be used for. So first up, I'm going to talk about D&M 37. D&M 37 is a water-based lubricant that is used for making the cube much faster. Now, this can be an issue. It can make it a tiny bit uncontrollable, but you can slow it down with other methods, tightening, using other lubes, etc. The way you apply this is all you have to do is open up the cube, put 2 drops, only 2, like this, inside the piece, and then simply break it in. So D&M 37 essentially makes cubes much faster, slow cubes fast, and it doesn't change the feeling of them too much. It also may make them feel a tiny bit looser, but that's just because of the speed. D&M 37 works great on all kinds of cubes, but especially big cubes. Big cubes are really good for speeding up because they can sometimes be a little bit slow. With D&M 37, 2 drops only rule is only for 3x3s. For 5x5s or bigger, you can use maybe more. So maybe 3 drops, maybe 4 drops, depending on how you're feeling. But don't overdo it. Next up, we have Lubrical Silk. Now this is a new version of Silk. It came out a few years ago, but it still does the same purpose. It's a silicone-based lubricant, which means that it's not as runny, and it can be used the same way, 2 drops inside. Now what this does is it essentially makes bad feeling cubes much nicer. It makes them a lot slicker. It does speed it up a tiny bit, but it just makes the turning feel much better. And if you have a really clunky cube, then it can really improve the turning. Same thing, open it up, put 2 drops in, and same as before, we'll break it in. Already this is feeling a lot more plush and a lot more sort of squishy. However, it hasn't changed the pieces at all, obviously, and it just feels like a very different cube. And the final one we have is Mystic. Now this one has a plant on it because this lube is actually plant-based. Now what Mystic does is essentially a combination of D&M and Silk. So it speeds up the cube, but also changes the feeling. Now, unlike Silk, it has a very weird feeling that can't be really described unless you have to feel it. Mystic is a piece track lube, meaning that you don't apply it the same way as the other ones. You actually put it on the tracks of the pieces, just like this. As you can see, it's got this nice shiny sort of gloss to it, which is a really unique feature to Mystic. You then need to put it on one piece because it'll get moved around the pieces when you break it in. It makes the pieces feel really, really unique. They're very soft, they're much softer than Silk, and it also speeds it up because it doesn't feel too gunky like some lubes can. Out of the 3, my favorite is probably Silk. I use Silk on pretty much everything. Mystic has limited versatility on cubes. However, any 3x3 it will make feel a lot better. D&M can be used on everything. However, it does make things a little bit unstable sometimes, especially with big cubes, and especially on 4x4s I've found. But otherwise, thanks for watching guys. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.